afternoon, everybody. My name is Amanda Smith, and I am on the Learning and Teaching team in CMS. And so, like Molly said, we're going to talk just a little bit about the DIBELS assessment. I'll give you an overview, and then we'll talk about what the assessments kind of look like, and then we'll look at the parent reports. All right, so we will spend time exploring the assessment. There's some videos that we'll watch for each portion assessed. And then hopefully you'll have resources in your back pocket that you'll be able to use at home. All right, so to frame our conversation today, I would like to highlight that Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools value the education of the whole child, and we use a variety of data to assess student progress and to set instructional goals that best support the needs of all learners. DIBELS is an acronym for Dynamic Indicator of Basic Early Literacy Skills. DIBELS is a universal literacy screener, and it's used by schools to assess key areas of your child's reading development. It's a quick, research-based assessment, and it's designed to measure foundational literacy skills such as recognizing letter sounds, reading fluently, and understanding what is read. The purpose of DIBELS is to help teachers identify students who may need extra support in specific areas of reading. By recognizing potential challenges early, teachers can provide targeted instruction to help your child succeed. It's important to know that DIBELS is not a comprehensive or diagnostic test. It does not give a full picture of a child's reading abilities. Instead, it acts as a tool to monitor progress over time, ensuring that the child is on the right track with their growth and development in reading. In CMS, all kindergarten through third grade students take the DIBELS assessment 3 times per year, once in the fall, once in the winter, it's happening right now actually, and once in the spring. So how do we use DIBELS? Well, it is a multi-purpose tool. Teachers use the DIBELS information in a variety of ways. The DIBELS results help teachers design targeted instruction to meet the specific needs of students, from remediation to enrichment and enhancements. The DIBELS information also helps teachers monitor student progress over time and ensure supports are working as intended. So you might be curious as to what exactly DIBELS measures. Well, it measures a variety of literacy development skills, from letter naming fluency to phoneme segmentation fluency, all the way to reading comprehension. North Carolina requires 2 additional subtests, oral language and vocabulary. These are not included in the composite score for each student, and you'll see the composite score when we look at the reports in a little bit. The chart at the bottom lists the subtest name or the measure and the grade levels in which they are assessed. Please note that 4th grade Read to Achieve students will take the assessments. However, in grades 4 and 5, the assessment is only for students in need of an intervention. And these are students that receive additional reading support outside of the regular reading time. All right, so now let's look at these measures and subtests a bit more deeply. Letter naming fluency is measured through a 1-minute assessment given to kindergarten and 1st grade students. Students are presented with a page of upper and lowercase letters arranged in random order, and students are asked to name as many letters as they can within 1 minute. Letter naming fluency is a strong predictor of later reading success. Beyond reading skills, letter naming fluency also offers insight into students' executive functioning and working memory abilities, helping teachers understand how students process and retain information. All right, so we're going to watch a little video.
Here are some letters. Tell me the names of as many letters as you can. When I say begin, start here and go across the page. Point to each letter and tell me the name of that letter. If you come to a letter you don't know, I'll tell it to you. Put your finger on the first letter. Ready? Begin.
TNSYIPDGY.
All right, so that is just a small snippet of what the assessment looks like. Let's now talk about phoneme segmentation fluency. Well, this assessment is given to students in kindergarten and first grade. It's also a 1-minute assessment, which words are orally presented to the students, and they are asked to verbally produce the individual phonemes or the individual sounds of that word. For example, a teacher asks what sounds you hear in the word sat, and the student then responds, at. Phoneme segmentation fluency offers insight into a student's level of phonological awareness. And phonological awareness is the ability to recognize and work with sounds in spoken language. For example, hearing and playing with rhymes, syllables, and especially individual sounds in words. All right, so let's watch a quick clip of this assessment as well.
Let's watch Karen assess Lee with phonemic segmentation fluency at the beginning of first grade. I'll stop and narrate periodically.
In the word am, tell me any sounds you hear.
So we always start with a practice item, and Mr. Say is telling Karen exactly the instructions to say to administer with fidelity.
Okay, here is your first word. 4. Here.
So there's a 1-minute timer counting up. Karen doesn't have to watch too carefully because
All right, so that's our nonsense. That was our phoneme segmentation. All right, so let's look at nonsense word fluency. So this assessment is given to students from kindergarten through grade 3. Nonsense word fluency is a measure of alphabetic principle. Students are presented with nonsense words or silly words and are asked to produce either the entire word by reading the word like vog or the individual sounds such as og. Nonsense word fluency assesses basic knowledge of letter-sound correspondence without influence from vocabulary or sight word knowledge. This subtest assesses students' understanding of phonics and the ability to apply letter-sound relationships when reading. When we ask them to sound out the word, that's what they're doing on this subtest. All right, let's watch a short clip.
Look at this word. It's a make-believe word. Watch me read the word. Hap. I can say the sounds of the letters ap. Or I can read the whole word, hap. Your turn to read a make-believe word. Read this word the best you can. Make sure you say any sounds you know. That's right. The sounds are or lum. Here.
All right. Next subtest, word reading fluency. Well, this is another one that is administered in kindergarten through grade 3. It's also a 1-minute measure, and in this subtest, students accurately and fluently read lists of grade-appropriate, high incidence or high frequency words that are out of context. So word reading fluency helps teachers identify students with poor sight word and irregular word reading skills that other subtests often miss. All right, so let's take a look at this.
Please read from this list of words. Start here and go across the page. When I say begin, point to each word and read it the best you can. If you get stuck, I will tell you the word so you can keep reading. Put your finger on the first word. Ready? Begin.
No, they.
All right. Our next subtest that we're going to talk about is oral reading fluency, and this is required in grades 1 through 3. Some of our 4th and 5th grade students may also be assessed on this measure if they are in intervention groups or Read to Achieve. Students are asked to read grade level passage for 1 minute. The oral reading fluency assessment provides insight into a child's ability to read text accurately and automatically so they can focus on understanding what they are reading. So you'll get to watch a short clip of this as well.
Please read this out loud. If you get stuck, I will tell you the word so you can keep reading. When I say stop, I may ask you to tell me about what you read, so do your best reading. Start here.
Bobby.
Ready? Begin.
Bobby was on his way home from school.
All right. And lastly, the last DIBELS assessment measure that we're going to talk about measures reading comprehension through an assessment called MAZE, M-A-Z-E. Students in grades 2 through 5 participate in the MAZE assessment. The MAZE reading comprehension assessment asks students to read a passage and insert missing words from a bank of choices in order to make the sentences and passage make sense. The MAZE reading comprehension assessment offers insight into reading processes that constitute comprehension through the interpretation of text at the sentence level. So in a short version of that is they're like doing fill in the blank work to make sure that and to understand and see if the sentences and the passages make sense. That's a form of checking their comprehension. The last two subtests, they're additional subtests on the MClass platform these are the ones that I was saying were also required by North Carolina. The first one is the oral language assessment, and this is designed to evaluate a student's spoken language skills by observing their ability to repeat sentences exactly as they heard them. The oral language assessment is important because it is crucial for identifying potential literacy difficulties early on, as strong oral language skills are a foundational element for reading and writing. So in this assessment, it may say, my sister's dress is yellow. So the teacher would say, my sister's dress is yellow, and then the student would repeat what they said. Okay, so that's the oral language assessment. The next assessment is the vocabulary assessment, and it assesses students' understanding of important grade level words. This assessment may involve answering yes or no questions, filling in the blanks in sentences, or choosing the best definition of a word from a list of options, depending on their grade level. So this assessment is important because it provides a detailed picture of their current vocabulary knowledge. And this allows teachers to identify areas where students need targeted support, and then they can tailor instruction to address specific vocabulary gaps. And this will enhance their reading comprehension and their overall language skills. All right. When considering a student's DIBELS scores, there are two very important things to remember. First, assessment outcomes are just a snapshot of a moment in time. There's no single assessment or data point that's going to tell the whole story of the child's educational journey. So we have to focus on trends over time and not just a single score. Secondly, we have to remember that we are chasing a moving target. DIBELS benchmarks are moving targets. They change throughout the school year to align with the growing expectations of reading proficiency over time. And each assessment reflects the increasing complexity of skills students are expected to develop. So a score that is at benchmark at the beginning of the year may not meet benchmark later. And this ensures that the scores provide an accurate picture of whether a student is progressing towards end-of-year reading goals. Today, we're also going to talk about MClass and parent reports. And MClass is a computer platform designed to support the DIBELS assessment. It provides teachers with the ability to administer DIBELS assessments electronically, generating immediate results. MClass also offers instructional recommendations for teachers. In addition, MClass supports parent-teacher communication through the creation of the family-friendly parent reports, and these reports are called Home Connect reports. They're sent home after each administration. So you should have gotten one sent home at the beginning of the year. And then as soon as this assessment window closes, you should get another one. So let's just review a sample MClass Home Connect report so that when you get your students, you'll know exactly how to read it. So at the top of the right corner of the page, you'll find the student's name, grade level, and the date the assessment was administered. In this section, you'll see an explanation of why the student was assessed and what the results mean. It also indicates whether the student is meeting the benchmark expectations for that time of year. On the right side of the report, there's a circle containing a number. And this is the student's composite score. The composite score represents the overall performance calculated from the combined results of all the subtests. Below the composite score, you'll notice a colorful bar. This bar serves as a key to interpret the scores below, and the bar is divided into 4 sections. So the blue indicates that the student is performing above benchmark on the subtest. The green indicates that the student is performing at benchmark. Yellow represents below benchmark, indicating that your student may need or needs support in a particular area. And then the red represents well below benchmark, signaling that the student requires significant support. Underneath the gray portion of this page, you'll see the subtests broken down individually. You'll notice a brief description of each subtest, what it looks like or sounds like for your child, and on the right-hand side, you'll see where their scores fell on the colored bar. So let's look a little more closely at the report. This report shows us that the student met benchmark on letter names. He was also assessed on phonemic awareness and scored above benchmark on that subtest. In addition, he was assessed in decoding, fluency, and oral language. Those scores and descriptions are included as well. This is a first grade report. Students in grades higher or above first grade, they may include results for other subtests such as MAZE, like we talked about earlier. The second page of the Parent Home Connect report offers suggested activities identified for your child based on his or her literacy profile. These engaging at-home games and activities are designed to support and reinforce specific skills that your child is currently learning. At the bottom of the page, you'll also notice a section that says, "For more activities, visit the Home Connect site," and there's a link provided. So this link takes you to the MClass Home Connect webpage. The webpage looks like this and offers additional activities and a broader assortment of activities that you might want to try at home. All right, so let's look into some other resources that you can use at home with your students. So let's look at kindergarten first. All right, so I would like to introduce you to a resource to support nonsense word fluency or the blending of sounds to make a word. For kindergarten at home, you can use Decodable Readers. And Decodable Reader is a simple book designed for beginning readers that primarily contains words they can sound out, or we also say blend when we're thinking about sounding out, using the phonics skills they've already learned, meaning most words in the book are made up of letter sounds they've been taught, allowing them to decode words by applying their phonics knowledge. Here's what a decodable reader looks like. When reading at home with your child, you can follow these 3 steps. On the first read, let your child read and decode or sound out the words. On the second read, you can read along with your child to model fluency. On the third read, let your child read the decodable to you again. And each time your child reads the decodable, his or her fluency will increase. Your child may revisit this story as often as you would like. Another resource that can be used to support nonsense word fluency and blending are these phonics speed drills. Remember, the goal is for students to read or blend whole words fluently. This resource also is used for first graders. So if you have a first grader, you'll want to listen in. All right, so let me walk you through how to use this resource at home. So the first thing that you're going to do is read the words as a practice, and you're going to support your child with identifying the correct letter sounds and then blending the sounds together to read the words. So it may sound like, let's see if I'm looking at SNAP. When your child's reading it, we want them to be able to read snap like that. But in the beginning, as they're learning, it may sound like snap. All right, so once they've read through that and you've read through that with them, then you can set a timer for 1 minute to see how many words that your child can read fluently, and then count the number of words read. Reread the words and support your child with identifying correct letter sounds and blending the sounds together to read the words fluently. And then you can go back and reread the words for a third time. Set the timer for 1 minute and record the number of words read fluently. So you can have them set a goal, and they can kind of compete against themselves. The hope is that each time that they practice and they read, that it's going to get quicker, faster. Another strategy that you can do when we're just learning how to blend words is you can take the first sound and the second sound and blend those two together and then add the third. So I could say rag, and I could do it that way. All right, let's keep going. Let's look at first grade. So first graders also need practice with nonsense fluency. So this same resource that we just talked about for kindergarten can also be used for first graders. And then to support oral reading fluency, this resource gives opportunities for students to practice reading using fluency passages. And when we think about fluency means reading smoothly and with expression, like you're talking naturally, where your child can read words accurately and at a comfortable pace, understanding what they're reading. It's all about becoming automatic and reading fluently, but also comprehending what we're reading. So for these fluency passages, parents can provide, you can pull these out and you could use this 3-read protocol. Student reads the passage, you're going to time them for 1 minute and record the number of words read, and then you as the parent are going to model fluent reading of the passage. Then you'll have your child practice reading the passage, and as they're reading, you're providing feedback or, error correction. So if they sound a word out incorrectly, you're going to ask them to fix it, right? And then they're going to reread the passage, and you should see the fluency, you should see their fluency increase as you read. And you can see at the bottom, you can see here, this is the goal for first grade. At the end of first grade, they need to read 39 words per minute. All right, let's look at second grade. Same thing here. Same resources to support nonsense word fluency, the phonics speed drills. Same resource to support oral reading fluency, like we just talked about for first grade. You can see here that second grade goal at the end of the year is 94 words per minute. So I want to make sure I drew your attention to that. So that is us wrapping up the DIBELS assessment and the resources. And so now I'm going to turn it over to one of our math specialists, Hannah.
Amanda. My name is Hannah Woods, and I'll be going through some kindergarten through second mathematics information with you all. So we are going to start by looking at some of the data points that happen in this point of the year. You're probably familiar with iReady, so I have a little sample report here from the beginning of the year. The window for the middle of the year is opening soon, so you can expect another one of these reports for the middle of the year. And just like Amanda said, we're looking for trends across, so we're looking for growth. This document will provide the percentile. This is a nationally normed assessment, so what most students in the grade level are achieving like, as well as a breakdown by domain. The next data point that we're going to look at is the report card. So for mathematics, we don't have as much detailed like the way that we have teachers one-on-one assessing for DIBELS, but we have a wealth of knowledge through the iReady report as well as the K-2 report card. And just like Amanda said, we are going for a moving target. So what that means is the end of year expectation is that students are reaching mastery on all of these I can statements on the report card. So students might be listed as mastering now if they've already mastered that I can statement, but they may be listed as progressing or developing. Students are going to work until the end of the school year on these I can statements, and you might notice that some of them will say NI. What that means is that information has not been taught or assessed enough to be able to confidently provide a rating. So anything that is progressing or mastering, students are on the right track. Anything that is developing, you can definitely reach out to your classroom teacher to figure out what students need more support with, or you can look at the resources that I'll show you in just a few more slides to support students at home with mathematics. In kindergarten, during the middle of the year, teachers will provide a mid-year assessment. This assessment is created in-house in CMS in conjunction with NCDPI. So kindergarten students will be counting to 100. They'll be reading and writing numbers 0 through 10, counting out groups of objects, determining which group is greater than or less than, and comparing numerals. As students are working on these skills in kindergarten, they'll be completing activities in the classroom and teachers will be observing, as well as a one-on-one task during the mid-year. Teachers take all of that information together when provided a rating on the report card, so it's not just one data point. It's a very holistic view of the child. In first grade, students are going to be adding and subtracting within 20 using strategies. They're going to be solving with unknowns in all positions and determine the unknown of any part of an equation. They'll also be determining the sum of 3 whole numbers within 20 and reading and writing numerals up to 100. Students will deeply understand the equal sign and demonstrate fluency up to 10. Again, in first grade, teachers will be observing students' work during the math time. So these objectives or I can statements on the report card will be a holistic view of the student. And anything that you see that looks like developing might be a good opportunity to revisit at home. And finally, second grade. Students will be using representations and equations to help solve within 100. They will solve unknown add-in problems. They will represent whole numbers as lengths from 0 on a number line and also use that student-created number line to help solve. They will represent numbers and sums on that number line. Students in second grade will also demonstrate fluency with adding and subtracting within 20. Anything that you're seeing on the report card that looks like developing will be a good idea to revisit, and you can look at the Learning at Home resources page. What we have here on the screen is a link to a document. It says K-2 assessment resources. That will lead you to a page that provides you not only with these slides so you can review that information, also a little screencast to help you review where to find more materials on the CMS site. Within the CMS site, we have videos that demonstrates the content for each quarter. So right now, as you receive data back for quarter 2, you may revisit information from quarter 1 and quarter 2 with your student. There are activities that you can do online as well as activities that you can print, whatever you prefer. And finally, you can find those through the family portal. When you're logging onto the CMS site, cmsk12.org, you can navigate to families and then family portal. Through here, you'll be able to click on the Learning at Home resources. Once you click on the resources, you'll get to different videos, like I said, for mathematics. And we also have a document here that provides specific information for DIBELS and, never to be neglected, the grades 3rd through 12. If you click on the bit.ly, or if you type in the bit.ly, this document has bit.lys that will take you to each individual page, depending on if you're looking for kindergarten through 2nd resources or 3rd through 12th. And now I'm going to hand it back over to Molly so we can go through any questions that you may have and talk more about the resources that we have at home.
Thank you. And thank you so much to our elementary school learning and teaching team for sharing this valuable information and resources today. We have a question. If we could please repeat, how should students go about asking their teacher for help? Or how can we help a student as we navigate maybe some opportunities for more progress on our report cards? So if our student is maybe demonstrating or progressing, how should we reach out to the teacher to communicate?
Molly, can you just clarify, how should the student or how should the parent?
Let's go from that parent lens, and if you have any suggestions on how our parents can support our students with those conversations too, that would be wonderful.
Sure. I'm a big advocate for parents helping their children advocate for themselves. I think that's super important. So I just wanted to clarify. Most schools and most teachers use Parent Square. So I think opening up the conversation to get more specific information about your child is a great place to start, perhaps through an email or perhaps just through that direct message to the teacher in Parent Square. Generally, students are at progressing throughout the school year, so I would not find that alarming if you're seeing that your child is progressing in any given skill, because it is an end of year expectation. But the teachers will know much more specific details. For an example, in kindergarten, if students are writing numbers 0 through 10, they may be able to tell you, oh yes, we're doing great with writing 1 through 5 or 0 through 5, but we are still working on writing numbers correctly 6 through 10. And that will give you a great indication of what you can practice or work on at home. Additionally, I know that kindergarten is quite young, but I think having conversations with your children about asking for help or advocating for themselves in an appropriate way, a developmentally appropriate way, is a great way to have them start leading their journey in education. So usually what I say with my children is, if something was confusing, did you ask? Did you raise your hand? Did you talk to a friend? How could you ask for more help if you needed it? I think that teachers are very happy to provide more information about specific objectives or I can statements as we see them on the report card, but know that progressing should not be alarming because students are still working and we want to give them the entire school year to demonstrate that they've mastered the content for that grade level.
And parents, don't be afraid to reach out and say, hey, I don't understand what my child needs to do on this particular assessment or in this particular, assignment, because we as teachers, we're learning a lot too. And we love when parents reach out and ask us to explain what's happening in the classroom and how we're teaching our kids, because it is important that you all reiterate that and help at home. But just know that it's not a bother. Like you're not bothering anybody. Teachers want to hear from you and they want to be able to help. Like that's the whole reason they do what they do. So don't be afraid either to advocate for your child and reach out and just say, hey, can we meet? Can you talk to me about X, Y, and Z? And they'll be happy to.
Thank you for sharing. I think that advocacy piece is huge and really is hitting on a few pieces I'm seeing in our Q&A. A few families have asked a similar question. As we're advocating and navigating with our teachers in our schools, how should we best handle or navigate any situations where a student might be below grade level and we might have concerns based on the reports that are coming home? Any additional tips and tricks for if we're maybe experiencing some just misunderstanding with the grade level expectations?
I'll speak for the literacy point of view, kind of what I just said. There's a lot that goes into learning to read. Our students' brains have to do multiple things to get to the point where they're able to read words that move into then sentences and comprehend passages. And so I would say, when you meet with the teachers, ask them to show you, like to model for you. What is it that you're doing? You want the kids to, my child to do in your classroom? Show me how to do it. Show me how I can help at home. Ask for resources, like we've given you a few. But even so, like reach out to say, hey, I've got these phonics speed drills and I see that it's got the directions here, but can you please just show me? And I think that that's important, especially for literacy. Hannah?
I think for mathematics, if you can talk to the teacher about what is the expectation for right now, that's a little bit different than the expectation for the entire school year, since just like Amanda mentioned, it's kind of like working towards a moving target, and students do not all progress at the same rate. So something that we see, I think in literacy as well as mathematics, is sometimes the beginning of the year until the middle of year is less movement. And then from the middle of the year to the end of the year, the student will shoot up depending on what skills they're working on. And isn't that true with everybody in life? Like we have different rates of change and different rates of progression. So I agree with everything that Amanda stated for mathematics. I think that asking the teacher to model for you, I mean, sometimes like a teacher is willing to even just talk to you on the phone and walk you right through what you're trying to do, so that way you can replicate it at home. I think that there's a lot of good activities that are within the math content on the website and also what Amanda has shared today that will really support a learner. And for phonics specifically, I think that having those discrete skills that they're practicing at home that run right along with the cycle that the teacher has shared with you is really beneficial to have more exposure if a student is reading at a is testing at a lower grade level than what they are in right now.
Thank you. Thank you to Hannah and Amanda for sharing such valuable tips and next steps. Families, our teachers are your first line of defense, and we value your partnership as we are all working together to support your learners. So please reach out to them with any direct questions or wonderings, especially as these reports begin to come home and you begin to review those data pieces with your learner and your school. Thank you for your engagement in today's Lunch and Learn session. We have come to the conclusion of our questions. As shared, if there's any further questions, please feel free to reach out to your child's school or our teams for any additional support. We look forward to seeing you at future Family Academy sessions. Be safe and have a great day.